Hello, everyone. Unicorn of War here, and oh god, it's been like 3 years. Well, not 3 years technically, but like nearly 3 years since my Volume 1 review, and I feel old. Legit, where did the time go, Jesus? I don't know, I figured I should do something, to celebrate this in the midst of 2020 trying to kill us all. Yeah, I'm really awkward. I don't know how exactly to start this, but I just want to upfront this saying, sometimes I still can't believe that this happened somehow. That, like, there are people that actively watch my content and enjoy it and it doesn't make them want to gouge out their eardrums like it does for me sometimes. So much has changed in my life because of this, and it's been a wild ride, and I have changed so much as a person. Even in the last year, I feel like I've done a lot of growing and just kind of realizing some stuff, and I'm looking forward to whatever the future might hold, assuming current pandemic and the also rise of fascism allows for that. Oh god, let's just ignore the world for like a good 20-30 minutes, okay. And also I just want to say, I feel like I don't say it enough, thank you Arnold for just giving me that shout out back then when I made that review. I sent it to him on, I think it was Twitter, and he saw it and he was like, dude, I love this. And that kind of gave me my initial push out the gates. And I wouldn't be where I am without his help and his kindness. So thank you, Arnold. We don't really interact all that much, but I am just still infinitely grateful. Now, all that said, let's begin the questions, shall we? I figured why not do a Q&A, so I asked. Questions will be pulled from my community tab, Twitter, and also Instagram that I barely use. I'm not going to be answering all the questions depending on, what I'm comfortable talking about. I don't want to tell you where I live. But yeah, let's do this. And I will also be saying people's names and reading most, if not all, their questions and saying where it came from to make this easier for future editing self. You're welcome, future self. Oh, it's gonna be hell ordering these, Jesus. Justin Brummett on YouTube asked, how did you end up with Unicorn of War being your name? If I remember correctly, it actually originated from my high school days. I think it was while we were doing volleyball and we were deciding on team names, and for some reason I just randomly spouted out Unicorn of War. I don't know where the imagery came from. Maybe partially Warnicorns from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, now that I think about it. Was that show around when I was in... God, I feel old. But yeah, I basically just thought that was cool, and I stuck with it. Let's see, oh god, Firestorm on YouTube asks, as someone who enjoys Rwby, how do you manage to not let the growing hatedom for the show lessen your enjoyment of it? I got a similar question from, yes, Venzi, also on YouTube. Oh, thank you for saying I'm amazing. I'm not, but I'm working on accepting compliments. Okay, fine. Accept the compliment. Anyway, my question is, why do you think people love to hate the show so much? It is a very spicy question. I feel like past me would have said it's just fun to hate stuff, and also a lot of anti-SJW sentiment, like the show's too gay, the show's too SJW, and all that stuff. But in light of Bomberguy's recent video and a lot of digging I've been doing for a video on the White Fang, I have been working on for quite a while now, I've realized Rwby has indeed fumbled a lot. I feel like because of where I was in my life and also the promise of LGBT rep from Volume 6 and also just wanting to believe in Miles and Carrie so much, I kind of convinced myself that a lot of the issues people were bringing up weren't as bad as they were making it out to be. And now I'm kind of at this crossroad where I still love the show to death, but it's like, oh, it's a mess. Like, a bigger mess than I ever realized. So I would say a lot of people's grievances with it are indeed valid, specifically in the handling of the White Fang stuff. I'm not going to really talk about that here because my future video will discuss that more in depth, but these writers don't know how to write about oppression or protest at all. I can't believe I celebrated the Belladonnas calling the police in Volume 5. That was trash. NS on YouTube asks, who is your favorite character and why is it Weiss? The people know me. Oh, this is actually really sweet. Jokes aside, I was just super depressed last year and remember watching your videos and laughing constantly. It was your Winx documentary series, instantly subscribed, and when I found out you watched Rwby, I watched it in January and the hype still hasn't gone down. I can't tell you how many times I've watched your Volume 7 review. It's insane. Oh, best of luck with your next video. Thank you! Oh, that's so sweet. That's not a question, but, you know, it's really sweet. Thank you, N. I'm glad that I could help you, like, through tough times, and I hope you're doing well. Karis on YouTube asks, what are your favorite Rwby ships, like top 5 or favorite for each character? Top 5. This is tough because I like organization. I like having time for this stuff, so doing it on the spot is not fun. If I had to spout my favorite ships in no particular order, and there might be another one that doesn't spring to mind immediately. Lucky Charms, Bumblebee, I forget what Winter and Robin are, but them too. Ozbleck, my friend Cindy got me obsessed with Ozbleck, which is like Ozpin and Oobleck, and it's crack in ship form. And what? Oh, I need a 5th one. Damn it. Blake and Happiness. I ship Blake and Happiness. And second question, which was the episode of Rwby that had you completely hooked? Oh, that's tough because my memory is trash. Probably Heroes and Monsters. I feel like that's one that a lot of people remember really fondly. That's when like Rwby was kind of at its best. That's when a lot of people were getting into the show and were seeing what it could be. It's so good. Problematic stuff involving Adam, but you know, again, White Fang video. Apple Pie on YouTube asks, if you could rewrite the canon, who do you think would best demonstrate male LGBT rep in Rwby? Crow, easily. See, the thing with Crow is that a lot of people viewed him as this tough badass who like wasn't emotional whatsoever, but he was in reality this miserable guy who just hated himself and hated life and isolated himself because his semblance meant he would hurt everyone he got in contact with. I feel like that's something a lot of people can relate to. So seeing him kind of, you know, beat his alcoholism and become happier is really nice. And also having him potentially be bisexual, I feel like would be wonderful as well. And also a great rep to show that, you know, you can still like learn new things about yourself and your sexuality even later in life. And cue Lucky Charms video. Oh, great. Shane Hackett. Oh, it's another nice one. Oh, I'm one of your favorite Rwby reviewers. No self-deprecation. No self-deprecation. You're honest and passionate about the show and only wish to see it get better. Oh, thank you. That's nice. My question for you is, what is your favorite moment of Rwby? And congrats on 3 years. Thank you. So nice. Favorite moment. Shit. Probably Blake running into her parents again when she goes back to Menagerie and just how sweet they are, and also her apology to Gira. I feel like that moment has really just stuck with me. There are a lot of problems with the Belladonnas. Again, White Fang video. Oh god, this is, yeah. But it's really just nice to see an example of parents just being there for their daughter who's just been through the ringer in media. That's just something I really love and that resonated with me a lot. Ruby Moonrose asks, since you're a Sailor Moon fan, which is your favorite sailor and which movie is your favorite? Also, which Rwby character would you pick to do a Sailor Moon cosplay? Asking Sailor Moon questions. I like this one. Favorite Sailor Guardian. That one changes a lot. It's changed a lot over the years depending on where I am in life and, you know, who resonates with me the most. If I had to say right now, it's a tie between Sailor Moon and Jupiter. Jupiter is great because, you know, she's the guardian of love and courage, and she's very feminine but strong. I think it's also the fact that she's the group mom. I really latch on to group mom characters who are very nurturing and loving and will break your spine if you hurt the people they love. And also she just has cool powers like lightning, storms, and nature. Come on. And Sailor Moon because, you know, she is the magical girl. Her powers are literally love and compassion. She brings out the best in people. She loves everyone before she loves herself, sometimes to her detriment. That's just something I've really always aspired to and really related to. Like, just trying to be as kind and hopeful as possible, even if I feel like I can't quite be what people need me to be. And I've also been working on that stuff. Oh, Jesus. Plus, Usagi's also a mess, which, like, yes, queen. Literally, she rules the planet. Oh God, are we going through the crises that will lead to Neo Crystal Tokyo? Yo, I hope so. Oh, also, in regards to which Rwby character for Sailor Moon cosplay, the answer is all of them. Make all the fan art, please. And favorite Sailor Moon movie? A Sailor Moon R movie, yes. It just has the best plot and the best structure, and also has a gay alien who has the hots for Mamoru, which, like, can we blame him? So, yeah, that's my answer. Gay aliens. Oh, this is a long one. Salvador Garcia says, it's great to see how far you've come. It's been a great 3 years, and here's to 3 more. Oh, thank you. Do you feel the same way that Rwby is a great show and a personal favorite despite its numerous flaws? A great show? No. Not at all. It's all right. The improvements it has made are valid, but it's still a pretty low bar, if we're going to be quite honest. But that said, it is a personal favorite for me. Rwby will probably always have a very special place in my heart, as flawed as it is. I feel like a lot of the flaws actually make it more endearing to me, as problematic as those flaws are. 2, how do you feel about Bumblebee? I love it and consider it one of my favorite ships. Why don't they just kiss already? Mood. But I want to hear your thoughts. Thoughts on Bumblebee. These have changed quite recently, if we're going to be honest. I really wanted to defend Bumblebee because I still do genuinely see potential in the story for it, for both the characters as a great romance. And I still love Xiaolong's Bumblebee video essay. Still love a lot of the points she brought up. But the reason my thoughts have changed on it recently is because I've realized watching shows like She-Ra and especially Owl House that have had very strong, explicit LGBT relationships, like kissing, saying I love you, blushing, sexual jokes in the form of Amity.
What about you, Amity? Me? On a team with you? Running around in cute uniforms? Sweating? I gotta go!
That Bumblebee has been kind of lacking, if we're gonna be honest. A lot of it has to do with these subtle suggestions and implications. The way I would describe it is Bumblebee is not really written as a romance, it's coded as a romance. Like, the material's definitely there, but you're not going to see it unless you're looking for it, which is like what a lot of older media did to get past the censors when it came to LGBT characters and relationships. And the reason that bothers me is because Rooster Teeth, they don't have network issues like Disney. They can go and make it explicit and have made it explicit from day one if they really wanted to, but they just chose not to. And I feel like we deserve better. We deserve so much better. That said, if Bumblebee is going to be more explicit, like with more conversations about them being a couple and kissing and stuff going forward, I will be happy. I will be bitter it took this long. 3, how do you feel about Young and Blake as characters? I mean, I love both of them. Blake, I've had more problems with recently, again, looking into the White Fang stuff, but as they are, their stories of overcoming their trauma and adversity have really resonated with me, and I know they've resonated with a lot of people. Looking through it, I think they could have been done a lot better, though. Like, if they resonated with you, and you think they're great, that's valid, but Brady Hickman on YouTube asks, if you could change any of the voices in Rwby, who would it be and who would you change them with? Maria, in a heartbeat. This is, again, something I'm talking about the White Fang. How many times am I going to say that? But a lot of Maria's character is steeped in Mexican culture, specifically the Dia de los Muertos, which is, a holiday, the Day of the Dead. So to have her voiced by a white actress feels not right. Like, representation in the industry and in media is, like, so important. And if you have a character where Latinx culture is so important to them, why would you not then cast a Latinx voice actor? Who would I have play Maria? My friend Blake has gotten me into One Day at a Time. Hi, Blake. Specifically because of the Latinx representation and the actress who plays the Abuelita Lydia. Rita Moreno. Yep, that's her. I love everything about her. She just exudes true Maria energy.
Can we agree that if there is a god, it's gender neutral, not a he or a she?
No! God is a man! If he were a woman, there would be less problems!
And any Volume 8 predictions? I don't know. I don't really like doing predictions, if I'm going to be quite honest. I just like to see where the story goes naturally. I've never been big on making theories and stuff. I don't enjoy it. For me, that sucks a lot of the fun out of the story. And specifically with theories, for me, it takes away a lot of the important things I value in stories, like themes and, characters. For me, it misses the mark on what value is in a story. Like, it's fun to do, and if you find it to be fun and meaningful, good on you. Like, go for it. But for me, I find it kind of shallow, if I'm gonna be honest. Oh, I feel like I'm shaming it now. No. Ignis Galaxia said, as someone who also enjoys Rwby and Winx Club, and your content on both, thank you! I'm curious which one has influenced you more as a writer, since you've taken a crack at rewriting both parts. And of your rewrites, which one are you more proud of? I would say Rwby, in terms of writing specifically and how not to construct a story. Whereas Winx Club has taught me more about how not to handle a franchise and a brand. In terms of rewrites, Winx Club definitely. Because a lot of the Rwby rewrite was already rooted in Celtic Phoenix's, and I feel like he did a generally better job at structuring his. That's not like to devalue my own, but that was just a fun time for me. Whereas with Winx Club, this has been something I've been doing for years, and I finally felt comfortable putting it up as actual content, and people really enjoyed it, and I'm really proud of it. So, yeah. Chris, I'm not gonna try pronouncing that. 1, have you heard of the Pretty Cure series? I have. I know nothing else about it. 2, how do you feel about Miraculous Ladybug's love square becoming some weird extra-sided polygon? It has not bothered me, quite honestly. I haven't really been interested in Miraculous for a while now, since I finished season 3, but I will say a lot of the stuff regarding Meridan and Luca specifically has really resonated with me. So it has not really bothered me. In fact, I kind of like where it seems to be going. I don't know, it doesn't seem as bad to me as I guess it does to everyone else. It feels like it knows that a lot of the dynamics aren't healthy, and it's trying to have the characters come to the realization of, oh, this doesn't work as much as I want it to. I need to move away from this. And I just like that. I just like that in a story. 3, do you have any pets? I do. I have a bloodhound. His name is Buster. He does not bark, he howls. And right now I'm doggo sitting for little tiny Shih Tzu, my grandma's dog, Harry. He's very spoiled. 4, how do you keep yourself working when you have writer's block or you're burned out? Something I've learned over the past year specifically is to take breaks and be okay with that. That your productivity is not a one-to-one correlation with your value as a person. I know that sounds crazy, but this is something we all do. We have these days where we're just so burned out and exhausted because we've been doing so much work. And then we're like, oh no, I haven't been able to do anything productive. I'm a terrible garbage person. And it's like, no, you're a human being who needs breaks. And it's also important to take breaks and recharge, and it can also help if you're getting stuck on something. Going on a break can help you develop a different perspective. So yeah, take breaks is my suggestion. Queen Rose 200. 1, what got you into Rwby? It was my sophomore year of high school, I believe, and one of my friends mentioned this web series that was really cool and anime-esque, and it was Rwby, and I believe at that time Volume 1 was already done, and Volume 2 was right around the corner. I think I devoured all of Volume 1, and I've just kind of been hooked ever since. 2, do you dream of becoming a writer? I am a writer. If you write, you're a writer, end of story. Do I dream of becoming an author? Yes, more on that later. There was another question specifically about my book, so foreshadowing, I guess. You said you rewrote for Kingdom Hearts. What were they about? That was a long time ago, and it wasn't really serious. A lot of it was trying to clean up how convoluted a lot of it is, and how I feel like it doesn't explore a lot of character arcs as well as I wish it did. Specifically in Birth by Sleep, for me, I'm not a big fan of the characterization for specifically Terra and Aqua. It feels like a lot of stuff is missing for them. And Kingdom Hearts 3 structurally still bothers me a lot, but that's not a place for my public platform. 4, do you think Rwby gets too much hate than it should? Depends on the hate you're asking. If we're talking about the, like, right-wing hate, where they're, like, the show's too gay, the show's too SJW, then, like, fuck them. If we're talking about, Rwby has, like, severe writing problems, they're not really great with writing minority characters, the LGBT rep is not as great as people say it is, that's all valid. So, yes and no. Yes and no. 5, do you ship White Rose? No, I think it's cute. I think it's really cute. I especially love their dynamic in the show, but romantically, no. Maybe in an AU, but like canon or my own thing, nah. Ignazio Costanza, oh wow, I just accented the fuck out of that, asked, did you watch Bomberguy's video on Rwby? I'm a fan of his and I agree with some, but not all of his criticisms, but overall I would say it's a well-constructed video. What were your thoughts? Initially I was very not looking forward to it. I am a huge fan of left tubers like ContraPoints and Lindsay Ellis and Philosophy Tube and Bomberguy. I respect him as a content creator and I love what he produces, but I was very scared with Rwby specifically because I'm used to, again, defending the show from right-wing criticism, and I try to like amplify its left-wing praises. But I think watching the video in full and seeing how he breaks down the problems with the writing and also specifically the faunus stuff made me realize that critiquing Rwby from a left-wing perspective, it really does not hold up. And I feel like that's the kind of criticism we should be endorsing and popularizing. Which is to say, I loved it. I've watched it several times, and I will probably watch it right after recording this. Aiden Frost asks, if you were the creator of Winx, which characters would be LGBT? Murda and Lucy. I mean, they kind of low-key already are, but like, make them gayer. Oh, also Palladium and Avalon. Palladium totally had a thing for fake Avalon, and I am so beyond bitter that it wasn't a thing with the real Avalon. Actually, the real Avalon was kind of pushed into the background. Oh, and Musa and Aisha. I feel like they would probably be bi or pan. I don't know, they just have rebellious LGBT energy about them, and I kind of live for it. Sonic Wave for life. Okay, this question specifically I felt was like important to address. For those unaware, Jeremy and I actually broke up right around, not the start of the year, but like in February, like late February. I'm bringing this up because we made the announcement on Twitter, but I don't think I ever like fully acknowledged it because I don't like to bring personal stuff onto my platform. Everything's good. Everything's chill, relax. But that said, for Rwby reactions going forward, I'm gonna be flying solo. If you want to see his content, you can go over to his channel. I would be surprised if he wasn't doing reactions for Rwby this year. So, go support him and stuff. I just wanted to bring it up to, be on the record so that no one's confused. And also because I also want to make it clear that whenever I get into another romantic relationship, it's probably not going to be as on my platforms as it used to be. Again, I tend to be a more private person. I'm happier and my mental health is better when I have as many boundaries between personal life and platform as possible. So having a romantic relationship as like very intertwined with my public platform as that one was, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Like there were a lot of great moments, but at the same time, it's ultimately not a good move for me. Like that said, like if I get into another relationship and, it's very important to me, I'm not going to keep it secret, but it's not going to be something I go out of my way to boast about or have clear in my videos. And alternatively, Dan the Motivated Man, good on you for being motivated, Dan, asks, what advice would you give showrunners and writers who want to depict an LGBT relationship in their show or novel? If they're not LGBT, talk to LGBT people about what they kind of rep they want to see, and make sure that they green light it to make sure it's okay. And like specifically, don't have just one LGBT person or like one of each type of LGBT person green light your stuff. Try to have like as diverse a pool of sensitivity readers, as they're called, as possible. That includes multiple gay people, multiple lesbians, bisexuals, pansexuals, ace, trans, so on. Also, it should note, very important also to have LGBT people of color and LGBT disabled people's perspectives, because oftentimes a lot of different types of marginalization have really unique implications. Like, the experience of an LGBT person of color is going to be a lot different from a white LGBT person, and they'll have to face a lot more persecutions, sometimes even from like the groups that they're part of. It's very important to get as many perspectives as possible. Just ultimately remember to be respectful. Sexuality is an important part of who people are, and it's important to understand how that is, but it's also not who they are, full stop. I would also say try to find shows, movies, any pieces of media that are known for having really great LGBT rep, to see how they represent it and how they show it, and try to emulate that. Try to understand why that works, and then do that in your own work. Naya Dryad asks, which characters from each of the series you've made videos on do you most identify with and why? Probably, again, Weiss, considering her family situation. That has always really resonated with me, and I think recently realizing a lot of the privileges I've carried as like a white person, specifically in this hellfire year of 2020. That hits for me, and it also makes me realize how problematic a lot of the Weiss writing is. Rwby aside, I would say also Velvet from Tales of Berseria. There's another question where she's also an answer, so I'm gonna save that for later. Terry Hong asks, if you would rank your favorite team members from Team Rwby from least favorite to most, who would it be? Boy, this is tough because I love all of them. And again, my favorites for anything tend to alternate. Right now, I would say least to most, it's Rwby, because she kind of has the least to her character right now. I love her as like a Sailor Moon type character, but there just needs to be more to her. Then Yang, I've never really related to Yang aside from fighting against her traumas and all the horrible shit she's been through. But I do love her. Blake, and then Weiss. Zodiac Spirit asks, a lot of it's Miraculous stuff. Are you going to do a review on the 3rd season of Miraculous? Because good lord, that season is terrible. It was not! I might get canceled for this in the Miraculous fandom, but I loved season 3, and I am not ashamed. But that said, no. I kind of stepped away from Miraculous. I still enjoy the show, but I don't think I'm gonna really love it as like I used to, and I would rather just never make content about it again. Well, I don't want to say never. Maybe like in the future, like far off, but not anytime soon. 2, what is your favorite Miraculous based on powers alone? Oh god, it's so hard to remember. I want to say Dragon, because it had all the different forms, like the elemental forms. I loved that, and also aesthetically it is very much up my alley. And also it's dragons, like how can you not love it? Are you planning on rewriting any of the Miraculous Ladybug seasons? No. 4, are you going to rewrite all the Winx Club seasons? Also no. John Dark asks, are you okay? I guess. How are you feeling today? This year has been rough, huh? Oh, that's a mood. I'm good. I'm good. This year has been a lot of tough shit for me. My emotions tend to fluctuate a lot with like how on fire the world is and also personal life stuff. But I would say, yeah, in general, I am like in a better place, I would say. Ciaran, I hope I'm saying that right, says, what if any is your favorite video game and why? Tales of Berseria, hands down. Amazing story, super well paced, love the characters, favorite characters in any game, quite honestly, or any story, and I stan Velvet. 2, have you ever played D&D? Oh boy. I've played it once, in high school. Okay, back then I had this group of friends, and we were all fucking nerds, and so we would call ourselves the Knights of the Rhomboid Table, because we were those people. And one time we played D&D, we tried, but I ruined it by trying to kill everyone in my party, which resulted in me getting killed by a monster, and having the others have to haul my corpse. Emmy Sage asks, what are your thoughts on Tekna and how the writers and creators give her the least screen time? It angers me. I love Tekna. She's like easily the most underrated member of the group, aside from Aisha. I really like Tekna's story of learning to be more vulnerable and comfortable in her emotions. And nowadays she tends to be more geeky than anything else, and it's cute, but I feel like a lot of the heart of her story is missing nowadays. Girl's Dark Imagination asks, which show, game, anime, book, or manga is your guilty pleasure? It used to be Winx Club, but I decided to not feel guilty about anything I enjoy anymore, so I don't really have one, I guess. I guess now the closest thing to a guilty pleasure is Rwby. Have you heard of Glitch Tale? I have not. What is your favorite genre of anime or books? Probably fantasy. I'm a slut for fantasy. Is there a certain trope or cliche that you love, and what about it do you love? Probably the Usagi type character who's just this ball of sunshine who brings joy to everyone's lives, even though she doesn't really love herself a lot of the time. Just characters like that who are very selfless to their own detriment. It just really hits home for me a lot, and it's... ugh. Are you planning to have a you day where you lay down, snack on something unhealthy, and binge a show to help you distract from the catastrophe? I love that word. That is 2020. That's been half the year for me. I've watched Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt several times through. I've watched One Day at a Time. I'm on my 4th rewatch of that show at this point. So, yes. Board Weaver asks, which character in Rwby do you think deserves needs more development in the story? I feel like the standard answer is Rwby, good lord. But I feel like Blake also, like, please God, let her lead a White Fang protest of some kind. 2, is there a series that you dislike profoundly? Not one I can think of right now, quite honestly. I try not to focus on stuff that I hate. Like, if I don't enjoy something, I'm probably just gonna leave it behind. I'll joke about it occasionally, but I don't care. Russ Steele asks, what are your top 3 things you hope to see in the Vacuole arc? 1, new outfits. Obviously. I'm Lee, give me life. 2, just a new environment, quite honestly. Especially considering how different it would probably be from all the places we've seen before. And the environmental design has seemed to improve the further into Rwby we get, so I would really love to see how the deserts of Vacuo and the desert cities would look, and also Shade Academy being a pyramid, fuck yes. And 3... I don't have a third thing. Someone on the internet asks... oh, that's a name. Oh, thank you. Thank you for liking my videos. What is your favorite Rwby scene and favorite memory of your channel so far? Talked about scene. Favorite memory. That one's tough because there's been a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed, and there's also a lot of stuff that's made me want to die. I would say favorite memory, probably just the people that I've met through all of this. I know that's not really a moment or a specific memory, but I've met a lot of wonderful friends through all of this, and like a lot of shit has changed, but I'm still like eternally grateful for the people that this has brought into my life. Trey Moore asks, any plans on uploading to your gaming channel again? Hell no. Those unaware, I actually had a gaming channel before I did my proper channel. It got like no views and it's trash. Nowadays, I keep it up just, I don't know. It's something cute to look back on, but mainly I just use it for personal use of YouTube. I like to keep as many boundaries between my personal time, that includes on YouTube, and my public platform. Just having that buffer there just really helps me. Thunder on Discord asks, what advice do you have for aspiring YouTubers who aren't as successful? I would probably say, please do not be discouraged. The algorithm is a cruel bitch, but if you enjoy the content that you're making and it is reaching people, then please don't stop. Maybe look into different ways to entice your audience, try different titles and thumbnails, try talking about different stuff that might be a little bit more topical, but through it all, please stay true to yourself and do not let YouTube convince you that you and what you have to say are not of value because the algorithm does not value them as much. Awesome Panda asks, what are your pronouns and who is your favorite Winx Club character? Pronouns. We probably should have started with that one, huh? I've mentioned it a few times in passing, but for any who might not know, I identify as non-binary. Oh god, I'm gonna have to give a crash course, aren't I? Okay, so basically to explain, sex and gender are not the same thing. Sex is biology. That's male, that's female, and intersex. And then gender is social. It's whatever society views as masculine or feminine or in between. And they're usually correlated with sex, but it's not like a one-to-one thing. And in terms of gender, I identify as non-binary because I've never really felt comfortable in either, if I'm gonna be honest. If I had to explain it, you remember in school when they would usually split up the guys and the girls, specifically for like gym classes? I never really felt comfortable with either. Like, I would feel much more at home in a group that's just labeled like gender misfits. As for pronouns, I still use he, him. I'm very comfortable with that. I've always been comfortable using he, him. I'm also using they, them. So if you prefer to use that for me, that's fine. That's totally okay. She, her, no. I've never been comfortable with that. Ironically, I also get pegged as she, her a lot, specifically when I'm out in public and I wear my mask. So people like see my long hair and my ponytail, but they don't see like the little facial hair that I have. So, and my voice is, you know. Lumenic says, you and Arnold are the only two Rwby tubers I watch and I love your work. Oh, thank you. Also, Arnold, good taste, good taste. I would advise you to watch other Rwby tubers though, because there are quite a few that you would probably really enjoy. Will you talk about more magical girl shows other than Sailor Moon? Well, I've kind of made Winx also part of my brand, and Rwby is kind of magical girl. It has magical girl elements. I think at one point I want to talk about Witch, like the TV show and the comics. I really enjoyed that. Any others? I can't think of any. Joey Simon says, oh, you are amazing, talented, and keep up the good work. Thank you. Again, not a question, but like just a nice thing to make me want to die less. Ultra Pine asks, what about the video process do you find you enjoy the most? What would your advice be for people anxious to start a channel? And what was something you wish people told you about YouTube? Something I wish people told me is that don't assign your value as a human being to how many views or subs you get. Advice I would give to people starting a channel, do what you love. That's really it. Do it because you love the content that you're making and it's true to you and what you have to say. I would also say make sure that you have boundaries between your personal life and your platform, especially if you prefer to be more private like I do. It will be better for your mental health if you go in with boundaries already in place. And what about the video process do I enjoy the most? Probably writing the scripts. Because again, writer, and probably the end of editing a video just because I feel so satisfied in going, oh my god, I did it. I did the horrifying thing. Cherry Blossom asks, how did you get into Rwby and what made you want to make videos reviewing it? I already mentioned how I got into Rwby. What made me want to review it? Back then, again, book stuff, I'll talk about that later. But I kind of realized that I needed a platform to market myself, basically, to have an online presence, so that it would be easier to talk about my book when it was ready. And at that point, I had a blog on WordPress and like 15 people in a Cricut read it. And I really didn't enjoy it. It was a lot of work for like a very little in return, and I just was not enjoying it. So then I decided, you know what? I've been editing since like middle school. I'm pretty decent at it, and I'm kind of funny. Let's give YouTube a try, especially because one of the YouTubers I really love is Jenna Moresi. She does writing tip videos, and YouTube is her primary platform. That's how her books were really successful out the gate. But I never realized that YouTube would kind of take on a life of its own, and I would say writing is still my primary passion. YouTube is still like a stepping stone to get there. But I am so grateful for the platform I was given, and I don't know where I would be without the people I've met through this. Plus, making videos can be really fun if you like really love it. Edward Fong asks, have you watched The Owl House or like any other LGBT cartoons? I love Owl House so much. It's so gay. I love it. And the writing is so good and the animation is so good. Oh my god. Other LGBT cartoons, I mean, it should be obvious that I love She-Ra. So Magical Girl TV said, what inspired you to get into writing books? I've always enjoyed writing. I've always been a fucking nerd. Like, English was my favorite class. Back in high school, I imagined making animated series because I just really wanted to tell a story, and also I was really into animation. But then I realized, oh shit, that's expensive, and also how would I make my own show though? So then I realized, oh, I'm a pretty alright writer, and I really do love writing, so let's give books a try. And I'm so happy I did, because I love writing fiction. There is nothing, I don't want to say there's nothing that brings me joy, because that's not true. In terms of things that I actively do, nothing makes me happier than crafting a story and characters and having them interact and overcome adversity and grow, and also to have characters called out on their bullshit. Yeah, I don't think there is a direct inspiration for that. It's just something I love. Caleb says, do you have any advice for LGBT teens? I would say, don't worry about being dead set on how you identify right now. Focus more on exploring and figuring it out and letting that process be fluid. It's okay to think that your sexuality and gender expression are one thing, and then a few years later go, oh no, I'm more comfortable with this. That's okay. It's all about you and what you're comfortable with. And as for dealing with bigotry, I wish we could just hand wave it away, but if you are in a family or a household or anything where you are stuck there and it is homophobic, very homophobic, be very careful with who you tell and where you say what your sexuality is. Your safety and your mental health have to come first. And if it is very unsafe, please tell someone who can help. Whether that's a teacher or another adult or friends if you're just confiding, or the authorities if you have to. And if your family's cool but you have friends who are kind of dicks about it, even if they themselves are LGBT but they aren't friendly towards other parts of the community, say someone who's gay who is not cool towards trans people, or binary trans towards non-binary, or vice versa, you don't need that in your life. Basically, just don't worry. You're gonna figure out who you are, and so long as you surround yourself with people who are loving and accepting, you're gonna be okay. Ellie Hinsman asks, any progress on your book? Yes, this is the question I've been waiting for. So yeah, I've brought it up a few times, and people who've been sticking with me for a very long time, you probably remember that time I was hey, I'm publishing my book and I have a trailer for it and a release date, and then it didn't happen, and I just went silent about it. Oh god. The book has been a trip. I've been working on it since 2016, and it has been through 7 drafts now. I'm on the 8th draft now. Events at the start of this year kind of made me double down on okay, we are getting this book done. We are not being complacent anymore. We're getting to where we want to be. And so I made a 6th draft, which had major story changes that I felt the book needed to be complete. And then a 7th draft to add a little bit more and iron all that stuff out. And now an 8th draft for new stuff, but also specifically, I have a lot of characters of color. Specifically, Felix, the main character, is mixed. He's half Latino, specifically Mexican. So I've been doing a lot of research on representation, a lot of one day at a time to help me with Latinx representation specifically. God, I love that show. So a lot of this draft is having characters speak their, in some cases, their native languages or secondary languages that are important to their culture. It's having them enjoy different types of food from their cultures. It's bringing their experiences to make it a more grounded story. I also got in contact with some beta readers, including my friend Chris. Hi Chris. He's been a huge help in getting this shit sorted out. And ideally, we'll be publishing next year. I have my ISBNs, so thank God for that. But I'm going to be trying to keep quiet on book stuff until I know for sure that we're done and that we're good to go. Because I still have to get cover stuff done and formatting. I can't get the cover done without the format, and I can't get the formatting done unless the manuscript's done and proofread, so... But that said, this really means a lot to me, and I'm really excited for you guys to eventually have it in your hands. Ah, God. If you, young aspiring writers, just a note, it's okay to take forever on a project if it needs that. Don't rush out a book if it's not ready. You will regret it. Okay, recording quality might be different today because I could not do this all in one session. Oh, hell no. Okay, my friend Cinzy, hi Cinzy, asks, what's your favorite series that for you has withstood the test of time? I feel like my answer is everyone else's answer of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, is there really any other choice? I mean, there are some issues within it. Some that I shouldn't talk about or I might be crucified. Okay, moving on. Serana Doodle Corner on Instagram asks, oh, it's another nice message, yay. Will you make any more reviews of different shows? I don't really enjoy doing reviews anymore. I prefer like more free-form video essays that I can just basically do whatever I want. I enjoyed the review structure for a time and I know people found it fun, but for me it just kind of got stale very quickly. So not really doing reviews anymore. Unless it's like a big video essay type review thingy, like my Rwby Volume 7 video. That's probably the closest I'll ever get back to that old stuff. And have you seen the show Angel's Friends? The show is terrible writing, but I love it so much. I actually do remember seeing a little bit of it online, and I remember going, this looks like Winx Club, but with angels, and I'm very confused. And also, the lead has Bloom's 4Kids voice? I didn't actually watch it all through, so I have, like, no clue what the fuck is in there. But I will take your word on the terrible writing. Maybe that's a bit mean. Maybe at some point I'll watch it. It might make good content someday. Oh, I hope I didn't just foreshadow some terrible calamity. Weeb Tanuki says, I've been a fan of your Rwby and Winx Club reviews, and your rewrites were fun to listen to. Will there be a time for you to do another in-depth review of She-Ra? I actually meant to do a video about She-Ra a while ago, but it just kinda fell off my list of priorities, and now I feel like it's kinda too late to talk about it. Not that it's ever too late to talk about something, but you know, I feel like I'd be late to the party. I have nothing new to say. Plus, I kind of had to distance myself from She-Ra due to, like, personal stuff I'd rather not discuss, but you know. Neo Bingos asks, what's your ranking of all the Rwby volumes so far? From best to worst, I would say Volume 7, Volume 6, Volume 4. People are too mean to Volume 4. Volume 4 did her best. Volume 3... Shit, now we're at, like, bottom tier. Volume 2... Volume 1 and then Volume 5 at the very bottom. Not Your Crybaby asks, what's your favorite gay Rwby ship that is not Bumblebee? Or Bumblebee. Bumblebee. Oh, God. Is that like Bumblebee, but like added Neptune? God. Anyway, the answer is Lucky Charms. Next up. Christopher Merrill asks, have you heard of Just Us Fairies on Top Us? It's a Winx Club spin-off story and it's really good, up to 7 episodes so far, and you should give it a read? Watch? Is it a show or... Okay. I have not heard of this, and now I'm kind of intrigued. Alrighty then. Also, is Bloom x Selena happening in the season 6 rewrite? Do you really think I'm just gonna tell you? Do you really think I'm just gonna tell you? Get out! But my rewrites will be gayer going forward, so, you know. Redville... that's spelling... This person asks, could you do videos about the Clone Wars? Probably not. I enjoy Star Wars, but I don't, like, love it to bits enough to make whole videos about it. Even, like, my Attack of the Clones video, like, well-produced, but at the same time, it's like, I wish I never did it. And Clone Wars specifically, I enjoyed the end of Season 7, but, like, I couldn't really fully get into it. So my answer is probably not anytime soon, maybe one day in the distant future. But for right now, no. Blake, hi Blake, on Twitter asks, are you a good boy? Would my body count allow for a yes? Blizzic asks, what part of the video creation process do you struggle with or hate the most, and which part's your favorite? Part I hate the most. My friend actually asked about this recently. I usually tended to answer recording. I just found it tedious. But there is a part I hate more, audio splicing, which is like editing out all the stutters and the gaps in my recording. I hate it. Especially because when I'm editing, I like to have YouTube videos on in the background. Even when I'm recording, I have like a Lindsay Ellis video playing right now. But when I'm splicing audio, I can't do that because I have to listen actively to what I'm saying. Thankfully, that same friend provided me with some like dope indie video game music to listen to, so thank you, Chris, you are a godsend. And which part is your favorite? I feel like I've answered this before. Oh yeah, I have. Writing the script. That's my favorite part. And also the satisfaction of knowing a video is done, and I get to just walk away from it. Vincent asks, in entertainment, be it gaming or whatever, what's a genre and or series you've never gotten into, but would like to try in the future? Genre. Normally with genre, anything sci-fi tends to ward me off. Not that I dislike it, I'm more of a fantasy person. I like magic. Oh, and I also like sci-fi fantasy blend, like Winx Club style, so. As for series, there are a few. Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica, yeah, there are quite a few. Maxwell asks, what are the biggest lessons you've learned throughout this 3-year YouTube journey? I would say, I've talked about this before in the Q&A, I know I have. Mainly in not ascribing my personal value to how productive I may be. That's a big one. Boundaries between personal life and online platforms, that's very important to staying sane. I think one of the biggest lessons is the fact I was able to do all of this makes me realize that I am a lot stronger and a lot more capable than I give myself credit for. Usually, I still have days where I'm like, God, I'm worthless. God, I suck. God, I'm awful, and my future is garbage. And it's hard to snap out of that, and that can happen like regardless of where you are in life. So I think realizing that everybody kind of has those feelings sometimes, and that it is possible to power through that it's an important thing to remember, along with the fact that it's okay to ask for help. Like, even through all of this, like I mentioned, without that shout out from Arnold, I wouldn't be where I am. If I didn't make so many wonderful friends and connections through all this, I don't think I would see this as worth it anymore. Because, like, what the hell is the point of all your success if you've gotten, like, no one to share it with? That's my fear. Dan asks, what advice would you give to other content creators, be it on YouTube or in general? Again, I feel like I've said this, but in honor of Dan, I will answer again, even if it's redundant. Be true to yourself, make content you enjoy, don't ascribe your personal worth to whatever success you may or may not have, and please don't be problematic. Please. Spine, suddenly everything I've ever wanted to ask has left my brain, rest in peace. I feel that on a spiritual level. TFB5 asks, favorite male-male ship in superhero genres? Oh, God. I feel like my answer would have to be DC related, because the most I know of any superhero thing is like the old Justice League animated series along with the Teen Titans animated series. But I haven't seen those in so long, I can't really give an answer. Ah, shit. Nightwing X Me. I don't care if I'm not allowed to involve myself. I don't care. It's my Q&A, I do what I want. Inferno asks, you know what? I'll ask something I'm not sure others will. How you feeling, Thomas? Aw, I'm alright, I guess. Just trying to survive 2020 like everybody else, having existential crises by the day, but I appreciate that you asked. Real note, ask your friends, like, how are you? That's yeah. Okay, this is a bit of a tangent, but another thing I've kind of realized is how to, like, measure if people are, like, as good friends as you think they are. And that's to just see, like, how interested they are in you. Like, do they ask about your day? Do they ask how you feel? Do they ask you about things when you talk about them? If you notice that they tend to skip over things that you say to talk about what they want to talk about, if they don't really ask questions and you find yourself being the only one to ask questions, then it might be time to walk away. Just giving life advice on a whim. Also, favorite pizza toppings, I must know. You are asking the real questions, Inferno. Pepperoni and grilled cheese. Grilled cheese. I meant grilled chicken. Every time I say grilled chicken, my brain wants to autocorrect itself to grilled cheese. And it's like, ew. Atashna Derp asks, what's your favorite headcanon or trope from Rwby? Okay, so y'all remember that existential breakdown I had at, like, Lost Fable? I realized why. Salem doesn't really have a motivation for what she's doing, and it's never made clear her goals. I feel like what drives her is this underlying fear of death. Because a lot of Rwby has to do with, dealing with the fact people die and you lose them and grieving over them, like Pyrrha. Salem cannot accept that, and that's why she's in this position at all. So I feel like what was missing from that is a confrontation between her and Osmond where she goes, I'm gonna live forever, but you, like my one true love, are going to die. And even though you're gonna reincarnate, I'm gonna have to watch you grow old and die over and over again, and there will be gaps between that where I can't be with you, and our daughters will die and they won't come back at all. So I'm gonna make a world without death where I control everyone's choices so they can't stop me. And then when Ozma decides he doesn't want to go through with that, she goes, if you want to leave me one day, I will make you leave right now. I will stop caring about you now. Because she's just that afraid of losing people again, that she's willing to just cut them out of her life altogether and not have connections because she's scared of losing them. That's something a lot of people do. That's something I've done. So yeah, that's my favorite headcanon. That's Salem's motivation. Let's just pretend it's canon. Let's just pretend. Dark Swordsman asks, what are your thoughts on My Hero Academia if you've seen it? I have not seen it. I've skimmed some of it in the past. I know the basics of it, like, the quirks are basically semblances, but, like, explained and brought to fruition better. And also that it has, like, really cute gay ships. So, at some point I have to watch it. At some point. Emerald Star Productions asks, goals for 2021 content-wise? I try not to think that far ahead. Just trying to think like 2 months ahead in terms of content screws me over because a lot of the times I overestimate what I can handle video-wise, and I wind up having to delay videos and like adjust my video schedule, so I try to just go with the flow. So 2021, I have no clue. Aside from publishing that goddamn motherfucking book. And what's something that keeps you going despite 2020 being 2020? Oh, that's a mood. Really, it's just, like, my friends, like, my really close friends that I try to keep in contact with, like, every day, if not just very often. Like, people who, show respect towards me and are willing to listen to me vent as I'm willing to listen to them vent. I kind of have a habit of playing therapist for everyone, and so that resulted in a lot of unbalanced friendships, but I've gotten better about, like, standing my ground and that stuff. And it's really taught me to recognize the people who actually matter in my life. And something that keeps me going is visiting them all when quarantine ends and we survive this mess. Especially because, like, a lot of them are, like, long-distance friends. I'm just like, I will hug you one day. And that also just kind of reminds me of another thing. More life advice I'm throwing at you, unsolicited. You're welcome. Something a friend told me, some people come into your life as lessons, others come as blessings, and you need to learn to recognize who's a blessing and who's a lesson, especially because a lot of the times one will come disguised as the other. Learn to let the lessons go when it's time, and learn to cherish your blessings and show how much you appreciate them. I'm just full of wacky life advice from a random YouTuber. Treggy asks, what was the best moment experience that happened with you ever since you started your YouTube career? I believe they meant career. Especially when it comes to your Rwby-related stuff. I believe I've talked about best moments before. Another great moment I had was being able to go to Comic-Con for, like, the Rwby Volume 7 stuff. Just being in the crowd and hearing how much people love the show despite its hot messness. It's just, there's nothing like it. It's It's nice. Even though when I went, there wasn't even like a Rooster Teeth booth, which was strange. I need to look into that. I don't know if other people noticed that, but it was very odd because my friend and I, like my friend Jillian, hi Jillian, we were just like wandering around looking for like the Rooster Teeth booth and we could never find it. And it was just like, oh, okay. Dre asks, favorite song from the Volume 7 soundtrack? Touch the Sky. Touch the Sky has been my anthem. It really hits home for me, just how positive and sincere it is. I adore that song, and it always brightens my mood. I do also love Until the End. Here's hoping Casey gets to compose more songs in the future, because that one broke me in the heart. Oh, Curie asked the same thing as that other person who asked about my name. I already told this story, so. Crimson Camellia asks, what was the most impactful lesson you learned from Rwby, either from the show, characters, or dialogue? A specific lyric, the community, etc. Currently, probably the fact that you can still love something if it's very problematic or not good. And it doesn't, like, make you a bad person or an idiot, but you do kind of have to acknowledge where it falls short and where its more problematic elements can like harm marginalized people. I would say that's probably the biggest lesson recently. Kier Bookworm asks, a magical girl series or franchise you want to check out but haven't yet? Madoka Magica. I keep hearing about it, and I need to see the fucked upness. Weirdly, I remember watching the first 3 episodes and really enjoying it, but then I just stopped. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, but because I'm lazy. Or I just got distracted, you know. Also, Little Witch Academia. I hear really good stuff about that. World of Winx asks, what's your favorite season and favorite character from Winx Club? Favorite season is 4. 4 is not as good as I remember it being, but I still really enjoyed the show, you know, trying to explore the Winx being older, away from school, trying to, like, adjust to their new lives as, like, young adults. It didn't always do that in the best ways with all the relationship drama, but I still found it really endearing, and it's something not a lot of stories do. A lot of stories try to keep their characters eternally young, and Winx Club was kind of the exception for a while, and it was nice to see that come to fruition with season 4. And then they just undid that all with season 5, so that's great. Favorite character? I really love Aisha, just because I felt her story of growing up very lonely and isolated and wanting to befriend people but being scared to. I found that very relatable and very strong. She's always been like my second favorite, but my first favorite is Musa. I don't know what it is about Musa from day one that made me love her. It might just be the fact that her main color is red, and red is my favorite color because I was a shallow child. But Musa's very chill, she's very artsy, and I feel like that always resonated with me, along with her being a loner. And then specifically with her losing her mother. When I lost my mom, I feel like I latched onto her character a hell of a lot more, and it made me realize just how strong and kind she is. Like, she experienced a horrible loss when she was young, and it just made her kinder and more insightful and wise. I'm probably projecting a lot onto Musa, but her character means a lot to me because of that. Like, those who've seen my season 5 rewrite, and you've seen the Musa bit how I restructured her singing Return to Me. That really, that was a personal thing for me when I came up with the idea. Specifically with the idea of this, like, wisp of one knee and her mother just, like, beside her as she sings. That just kind of, I'm gonna leave it there, because if I go any further, I'm probably gonna start crying, but you know. Kitsune Rokaku asks, do you think a live-action Sailor Moon movie could work? And if so, who would you have as the director and the cast? I think it could work. It would just have to understand, like, how to properly adapt the story into a different medium and get people to not hate it. As for director, I'm not sure, mainly because I don't know directors. I say right out the gate, it should be a female director. A story this important about women's empowerment and feminist ideas should have a female director. I'd say that's the bare minimum. And cast? I don't know. Save the Bees asks, if you could remake one video from your past, one that you may be known for, but looking back on it, you don't like it anymore, which one would it be, and what changes would you make to it? All of them. As a general rule, I would not talk as fast as I did in those old reviews. And probably a lot of the reviews I did after Rwby, like the Kingdom Hearts stuff, the Sly Cooper stuff, a lot of that was just trying to get as many videos out there as possible. I remembered making videos like every weekday. I don't know how I survived that. And a lot of them were just not good, looking back. And even my writing videos, I had that weird, like, ugly sprite and a random fireplace that looks like Christmas time, and I'm just like, what the fucking hell is this? Let that be a lesson, kids. You can start anywhere, and you can become less terrible with time and practice. Scarlett asks, what are your thoughts on the show Witch? I really like Witch. I've enjoyed it since I saw it when I was little. I'm not a fan of this whole magical girl rivalry that happens. Like, if you love Sailor Moon, you must hate Winx Club and Witch, and like same for any of the others. It's this really annoying idea that magical girl shows can't coexist. I don't understand it, and I fucking hate it. Specifically because I feel like Witch, Sailor Moon, and Winx Club all excel in areas where the others kind of lack. But anyway, I love the show. The first season's alright, but the second season is fire. I love Nerissa as a villain. Holy fuck. I love the arcs it puts all the girls through. Specifically Haylin. Just, oh, baby girl. I have read the comics, and they're very different from the show. We're talking like Sailor Moon manga versus 90 animes levels. And the comics are beautiful. And I feel like the first story arc is way better in the comics. I have not read past that. From what I remember, I do prefer the structure of the second season of the series to the comics second arc. But, you know. Inferno asks, do you prefer Marvel or DC? DC, just because, again, Justice League animated series, Teen Titans animated series, that's the stuff that's closest to my heart. In general, I don't care about the DC versus Marvel stuff. Those are just series that are very close to my heart still. For me, those are like the definitive versions of any of those characters. Carlos asks, what's your favorite Tales of game? Tales of Berseria. It wrecks me every time. Mochizuki Fox asks, are you planning to watch any other animes? Yeah, I do want to watch My Hero Academia, the other Magical Girls series I mentioned. My friend Chris actually got me into quite a few animes like Steins Gate, Megalobox, Beastars. I'm actually normally kind of hesitant towards getting into anime, so it's been nice having like a friend who can just guide me through and just give me golden recommendations. Tyranny, is that you? Why won't you follow me back? I did not even know you were following. I didn't even know you had a Twitter, girl. I'm probably gonna message you before I publish this just to taunt you. If this is you. Chaosy asks, God of Light or God of Darkness? God of Darkness. You know, at least he's honest about being a piece of shit. Yeah, my hatred for the God of Light still burns strong. Like, you know, the reason why we say you can't or you shouldn't be other people's therapist is because you humanly can't do that and it will ruin you. And also the fact that you're not obligated to. God of Light don't have those boundary issues because he's a god. Like, you don't need to sleep. You don't have eyes. Help us! Venus the Creative Cat asks, what worlds do you want to see in Kingdom Hearts 4? Let's see, Moana, Frozen 2, Zootopia, Princess and the Frog, for sure. Tangled the series, it will never happen because it's a TV show, but I will be bitter if it isn't there. Let me fight Moon, Cassandra, let me fight. Now my brain's blanking on the other stuff I wanted. No! But those are my big picks. Yes, those. Mitch Thatcher asks, what are your favorite LGBT headcanons from Rwby? That Clover is still alive and that Lucky Charms was indeed romantic and would be explicitly romantic in an ideal world and would not result in death. That's my wonderful AU in my brain, at least. And it will live on forever. I need to go cry for like a solid hour now. Anyhow, we done. Yay. Thank you for sitting through this. Oh god, I have like an hour and a half of raw audio. How long is this gonna be? But like, real talk, I am grateful to have gotten this far. I still find it insane. I would say I don't deserve it, but then my friends would beat me up for not being nice to myself, and rightfully so. Get you friends who will punch you for being mean to yourself. I feel like I can't say it enough times. I am just so grateful for the support you all show. even if at times I feel like I don't deserve it. And I hope I continue to entertain and inform you more going forward. May we punch racists in the face, and may one day we see Bernie or someone like him save all our asses from the rise of fascism. Oh god, I wish. I'm drinking Sunkist right now, and it's like, it's times like this I wish I drank. Anyway, hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna go rest my voice because it's sore as fuck.